If you've got a bolster's great. If you don't have a bolster, that's okay. We're going to make one. So I make one out of 2 blocks and a folded up blanket on top. You might not have 2 blocks, so it can be a stack of a bunch of blankets, or I don't love pillows because they might be too squishy. Towels are nice and firm, so take your time grabbing what you've got, and I'll demo what we're doing. So we'll be doing a restorative deer pose, and it's kind of like Bharadvajasana. I enjoy it most when my bottom leg is perpendicular to the support, right? But of course adjust so you're as comfortable as possible. And then there's a stagger in the legs, so the back leg is off of the foot, right? Take a moment here to let the right sit bone lift and lower a couple of times, and you don't want to create tension in the right hip, but just notice how that's going in the hip socket. Less is more. And then start to turn towards your prop, and as you turn, allow the body to rotate so that top leg starts to rotate inward. For me in this pose, I'm more exploring a length on the outside of the bottom leg, but I want the back leg to really stay with me, so this whole thing is pretty gentle. Okay, so make any adjustments with the angle of the leg or the rotation of the thigh, and then start to drape the body down onto your support system. Check in with the arms. You don't want them to be taking any weight here. You can bring the left ear towards your props. I enjoy having my hands gently resting on my, for me it's underneath the blankets and on the blocks, but you could bring the forearms down or make a diamond with the hands. Just make sure the shoulders feel relaxed and soft. And then before we release completely, gently push the bottom leg down into the earth, and notice how that turns on the muscles in the leg, and notice what changes in the deep core. Maybe you can feel a little brightness, maybe you have a little extra awareness of the obliques and the rib cage. And then imagine we can just dial that back 1% at a time. So you don't release completely all at once, but you just let it softly go. And in these restorative poses, you really don't want to be feeling much of a stretch. So if you feel this at one place in the body, I recommend coming out of it a little so that it's like you could fall asleep here. When you wake up, you would feel awesome instead of a little weird. There is an option that's not going to be for everyone, but I really love it. You can't really see that I'm doing it, but you have the option to bend the bottom knee and reach back for the bottom foot with the hidden arm, the left arm that's behind your prop. Just adds a little bit of quad opening and a hip flexor stretch, so you're welcome to try that. Make sure you don't feel that in your low back. And sometimes it might feel hard to do nothing, And there are so many benefits to these restful moments of pause where we can absorb and integrate, and we don't even necessarily know that that's happening. And so let your focus drop down to that point at the center of the heart, and you can imagine, or maybe you believe, there's that trust that this is exactly what you need right now. And we'll be here for one more minute. It's about 5 or 6 breaths. And if you're holding the foot, you can gently release it. Place both hands underneath the shoulders, and as effortlessly as possible, begin to reverse melt back up to seated. Take a moment to twist to the left in a classic Virabhadrasana. Let the spine be long. And then kick both legs forward, pausing in Dandasana, and just notice the sensation through the left side of the body or anywhere you feel it. Take a moment to play with that bottom rib and just notice if that helps you sit up straighter and find the deep core. Find effortless support of the neck and head. And then grab your whatever you used, bring it over to the other side. And now the right leg is perpendicular to your support. And then bring the left leg below the right foot. As you start to rotate to the right, allow the left hip to lift, and then lower it back down. And just do that a couple of times, exploring the hip socket. Less is more. Can play with gently squeezing the foot and the thigh towards one another, and notice that changes the sensation in the hip, the sensation in the pelvic floor, and the spine. The next time the hip lifts, you can keep it lifted. Use your hands to frame the prop and take a couple of breaths upright, just allowing the spine to gently twist. Notice how the rotation in the upper body changes the sensations in the bottom leg, and make sure it's not too tense or intense on the outside of the right leg. Gently press the right leg down into the earth so those muscles are nice and active. It's going to limit your flexibility in a good way. Keep that push down as you gently make your way down to the bolster, right ear to the bolster. So most of the twist is in the outside of the right hip and not so much in the spine and the neck. Make sure your arms feel relaxed so the elbows can be close to the prop, close to the body. Nothing riding up the neck towards the shoulders. You can even hug your prop almost like you have your favorite stuffed animal from when you were a little kid. Mine was a tiger. And then notice how the breath is a massage. And you don't have to breathe into tension. Just let the breath flow and let it carry away any resistance in the body, mind, or energy channels. Just like on the other side, you have the option to reach the right arm back towards the left foot, bend the left knee a little extra, and hold on to the toe or the foot or whatever is comfortable. And you only want to do this if it feels good in the front of the hip and the quadricep. If you feel it in the low back, you might be going a little too far. So you can explore and adapt and release. And we'll relax here. And we'll stay here for one more minute. Gently release the foot if you've got it. Start to place your hands as a support, and eventually make your way up to seated. Take your time, kick the legs forward, or sit however is comfortable for you. You can sit cross-legged, and take a moment to feel any sense of spaciousness that's been unlocked, especially through the lateral edges of the body and the spiral line of the body. You might even feel like you can sit up a little taller. If there's any last movements the body's craving, maybe a little forward fold or whatever you want, please be my guest. And then we're heading to Shavasana. So you can dim the lights, put on any warm layers, grab any of your favorite Shavasana props. I highly encourage something under the knees for extra support. Make sure the elbows don't hyperextend. And as long as you may have some blocks nearby, sometimes if your blocks have some weight, it can feel really nice to have one at the top of the head as a grounding force, or even one on the belly. So you're welcome to try that. You can also rest the hands on the blocks. That can be a nice way to allow the elbows and the shoulders to relax. So take your time. do all the things because you're worth it, and we have plenty of time. So you don't need to rush. And of course, if you fall asleep, that's fine. But there are benefits to staying conscious in Shavasana. So I invite you to use the breath as a focal point. And use the inhale to burrow into that center point of the heart. And use the exhale to expand while still feeling that center point. And we'll relax here for the next 10 minutes. Let yourself just be. Notice the part of you that can observe your body and your breath. Take a few breaths to just feel with how spacious that part of you truly is. When we're in this spacious state, things can't really get us in the same way. It's like we can just rise above our tensions. So I invite you to stay in this state as you start to make little movements, and take your time and enjoy the pathway up to seated without any rushing. Take the scenic route and find something to enjoy along the way. And then take your time setting up your meditation seat and be very kind to yourself. And I invite you to resist the tendency to sit how you always sit, and instead find what the hips are asking for right now. Adjust and wiggle and adapt. We did a lot of work in the hips, especially finding a lightness and a connection from our hips into the pelvic floor and the deep core. So just notice if the seat reflects that work, if it feels supported, if it feels integrated. Perhaps it's easier for the spine to stand tall and the neck and shoulders to be soft, or you might notice something different. Through our asana practice, we prepare the physical body to sit in this way so that we can let go of the physical body. And so once you find your seat, imagine your physical form dissolving, or all of your atoms just gently vibrating, and let your focus drop into the center of the heart. Start to feel how the breath massages the heart. And it's so easy to feel the expansion of the inhale. And so as you feel that, see if you too can feel the pinpoint heart center. It's like your awareness is in two places at once, the edges and the center. And then that work reverses on the exhale. It's so easy to feel the center point, that condensing and dropping in. play with feeling both that and a sense of reaching out and expansion simultaneously. Let yourself relax. Let yourself attune to the part of you that is not solid, but is vast, is pure flowing energy. And can begin repeating any of the lineage mantras, perhaps Om Namah Shivaya. Letting each repetition of the mantra help you connect to pure consciousness, your true nature, this vastness that's always present but sometimes hard to feel. If there's any sense of working or efforting in your practice, see if for this last moment can release that and truly let yourself be. And in the yogic tradition, your true nature is Sat Chit Ananda, pure being, pure consciousness, and pure bliss. You don't have to do anything or create anything. You can just allow these qualities to emanate from that deepest core of the heart that we've been connecting to. Can bring hands to heart center, bringing the outer body to meet at that single point, the innermost realm of our being. And gently bow to your own inner self. Thank you so much for practicing. Namaste. Thanks for being here. It was great to see you or to know that you were here. Enjoy the rest of your day and hope to see you soon. Aloha.